Hi. So today I'm going to talk about audiologists and hearing aids and kind of why hearing aids suck. Um, this isn't to completely bash hearing aids always and forever and, they are really, really awful and no one should ever get hearing aids. That's not what I mean to say. This is my own experience with them, and your mileage may vary. It's different for everyone, etc., etc. Not everyone has the same experience with hearing aids, so it might very well be different for somebody who has worn them for a much longer time or somebody who has worn them for a much shorter time. My cat's over there scratching. Don't mind her. So, my experience with hearing aids and what is reported by most people who wear them and people who choose not to wear them at some point in their lives after having worn them is basically that they're really uncomfortable. And it's true, they are. Hearing aids are just generally not comfortable, and there's not really much anybody can do about it. There are a few different parts to a hearing aid, and I'm going to take mine off to show you. So each hearing aid has the ear mold right here. Mine is very colorful, and it goes into the ear, the full shell of the ear. Mine are full shell. They're kind of small, yeah. And it goes into the shell of the ear, the concha and all that, to keep sound in and to improve sound quality and volume. And then there's the tubing, which needs to be replaced every so often, every time it gets stiff and hard, and, if it's clear yellow. And then there's the ear hook, which keeps it on your ear. And then the hearing aid itself, which does all the fancy, sound bits and everything. On mine, I've got a volume wheel and a control button. So, that is the basic makeup of the average behind-the-ear hearing aid with a standard ear hook. Now, most people do find that a BTE, a behind-the-ear hearing aid, is the most comfortable. Yet at the same time, they're still uncomfortable, it's hard to put anything in your ear for an extended period of time and find it to be comfortable in general. If you've ever worn earbuds for a long time and your ears start to itch and maybe hurt and they feel really plugged up and uncomfortable and sweaty, that's basically what it's like to wear a hearing aid, except it's about 1,000,000 times worse with a hearing aid. If you've never worn a custom fit ear mold or hearing aid, you will basically never know what it is like, because there is nothing that is as uncomfortable as a hearing aid, as far as I have seen. Hearing aids are just so uncomfortable. And there are a bunch of different things that can affect the fit of the hearing aid that make it even more uncomfortable. For instance, if the hook or the tube are too short, it's going to hurt the top of your ear right about here at the very front. If your ear mold doesn't fit right, it's going to feel really uncomfortable. You'll get pressure sores. And you'll get sound leakage, and it's going to wobble around in the ear if it's too small, or pressure sores if it's too big. A lot of people will do really deep canals in order to help keep more sound in, which is fine if that's what you want. But I find that the shortest canal possible works for me, and I prefer a really short canal. So it makes a big difference, the fit of the ear mold. Outside of that, hearing aids are just generally uncomfortable. Having anything stuck in your ear for that amount of time is going to be uncomfortable. When you wear an ear mold, even if it's not full shell, if you wear any ear mold for an extended period of time, you're going to have wax buildup, which you have to go home and clean that out, and you also have to clean your ear mold every day. And your ear is going to get really sweaty on the inside, which is really, really uncomfortable. It makes you feel kind of gross, at least for me. It makes me feel rather gross, to have my ear canals be sweaty. It's really gross. I don't like it. I don't think anybody does, honestly, but I find it to be really, really highly uncomfortable. Hello, Wheatley. She has come to join us. I guess I'm going to sit here until she decides it's time to go. This is my second take of the video, by the way. Please don't get on the table. No, honey. This is my second take of this video because the first one was interrupted by my landlord, who decided it was time to come talk to us about grabbing paint supplies out of my roommate's room in the middle of the day with absolutely zero warning. He didn't call to say he was coming by. He just came by and decided it was time to grab those paint supplies, so that was pretty irritating. I guess Wheatley is joining us for the video. It doesn't help that I'm scratching her face either. She loves that. So, you know, yeah, a bunch of things can affect the fit of a hearing aid, and it really depends on, you know, how it fits and what kind of hearing aid it is, and, you know, whether it just depends on whether it fits right, you know, because the ear mold and the tubing can make a big difference. I've noticed that a lot of parents who do not work on their own kids' hearing aids, a lot of parents who don't change the tubing on their own, they tend to leave the tubing very long for their children, and so the hearing aid sticks up on top of the ear, and it kind of flops around a little bit. And I've just noticed that that's got to be uncomfortable for a kid. You know, I don't like having long tubing. Wheatley, please. Please, honey, please. Okay, there you go. Okay. Maybe she will sit in my lap and hang out there. Let's see if she will. Is this good enough, Wheatley? Okay, there we go. Okay. So, I've noticed that, yeah, that's a big thing, is that a lot of parents leave the tubing really long on their kids' hearing aids, and that seems to be uncomfortable to me. I don't like having long tubing. It basically all it does for me is encourages me to grab the hearing aid and, you know, toy with it until I can get it to sit right. But I can only imagine what it's got to be like for a kid or a baby who can't, you know, fix it properly. So, yeah, so, you know, like I said, a lot of things can affect the fit of the hearing aid and whether it's comfortable or not. I personally wear behind-the-ear hearing aids for the power and because they are just generally more comfortable. A lot of people nowadays are being fit with receiver in canal or receiver in the ear hearing aids, which are great for a lot of people because the speaker itself is housed in a little tiny speaker that goes inside the ear canal and is housed in either a universal silicone dome or inside a custom ear mold shell. Can you guys please behave? Oh my goodness. This is what it's like living in a house full of animals when you can't shut them away. Or you don't have the heart to shut them away. I don't have the heart to, personally. They want to be everywhere you are. But I was first fitted with receiver in canal hearing aids when I first started wearing hearing aids, and I couldn't wear them because my ear canals are simply too small and it would push the receiver out of my ear. Cypher, hi Cypher, please go away. Okay. There you go. It would push the receiver out of my ear and I would hear nothing. So I couldn't wear them, and my audiologist was reluctant to fit me with behind-the-ear models because she didn't want them to be noticeable for someone my age. And that's kind of the whole second part of this, is that, you know, audiologists, I don't know. I guess most of them mean well, but at the same time, they also just want you to pretend like you're hearing, and you should never identify as deaf if you're not profoundly deaf, and you know, all kinds of bullshit that audiologists come up with. That makes me really, really mad. You know, it's very frustrating, and I don't really like audiologists. And once I find a good audiologist for me, I stick with them because I really can't stand most other audiologists. You know, like the fear of going into a new audiologist's office and having them talk to me like an idiot, or say, "Oh, we'll get you some that no one will notice." That really bothers me. I mean, as you saw on mine, I freaking decorate them so that they're brightly colored and floral. You know, I don't care if people notice them, and in fact, I would like it because they're very pretty, and I think they can be made very pretty. And I don't see why we have to, you know, offer good hearing aids in such boring colors like beige and gray and black and brown. You know, we do have, you know, hearing aids that come in fun colors, but they're always more expensive, I believe, and insurance doesn't cover the fun colors. So, that's kind of a pain in the ass. But audiologists never tell patients, as far as I've seen, that your hearing aids are going to be uncomfortable. You know, they tell you, oh, you'll get used to it, but there's a difference between getting used to something and eventually finding it comfortable. You know, yes, you can get used to that thing scratching your ear canal constantly, you know, every day, all day. But it's never going to be comfortable. It's never going to be something that you look forward to putting in during the day. You know, it's really not. I found that, you know, when I first even started wearing proper hearing aid, you know, behind the ear hearing aid with an ear mold, it was really uncomfortable still, and even, you know, behind the ear hearing aids with ear molds are pretty much the most comfortable you can get. And, you know, they're never going to be comfortable, and they never tell you that. They just tell you you'll get used to it. So, for those of you who have never worn hearing aids and are about to, I'm sorry. You will get used to it, but you'll probably never find it comfortable. You know, there are a few products out there that are designed to try and make hearing aids more comfortable. They do make universal domes and universal tips that go on the end of tubing to use in place of ear molds, which are supposed to be more comfortable for some people. And for some they are more comfortable, but not necessarily totally comfortable. And outside of that, they have something called Otoease. It's Otoease, Otoease. It's used to, it's got hydrocortisone in it, and it's a kind of ear drop that you stick into your ear, and it goes into your canal and all that, and it's supposed to basically cut down on inflammation and help make your ear molds more comfortable in your ears. It helps reduce the itching that comes with, you know, having an ear mold in your ear all day. And I've found that the Otoease does help a little tiny bit, but I'm very insensitive to hydrocortisone, so somebody else might find it a little better and more helpful. You know, other than that, there's not much else that you can really do to make them more comfortable. If you do find that, you know, your receiver in the ear or your smaller, you know, single unit hearing aids, the ITE, CIC, IIC, any of those, if any of those are uncomfortable, you should consider switching to a BTE. You know, yes, you'll have the constant, you know, you'll still constantly have something in your ear, but I do think that a soft silicone is much more comfortable than acrylic. And a lot of people, you know, a lot of audiologists, they don't really care which kind of ear mold you get, silicone or acrylic. You know, they really don't seem to care. So for those of you wondering, personally, I find acrylic ear molds to be easier to insert and remove from the ear, but they also tend to kind of move around and itch, so that at any point, if the seal is broken from the ear mold, if the seal is broken, you'll hear a very small clicking noise, like a pop noise almost. And I really can't stand that, because if you're talking and you hear it, or you move your head and you hear it, you'll hear the little popping noise. It's really irritating. I can't stand it. So now I'm primarily wearing silicone ear molds. I find that silicone ear molds are more difficult to insert and remove, but they are far more comfortable than acrylic. The ones I have a kind of slightly, almost tacky, smooth finish, a glossy finish. So they're very easy to clean and everything, but yes, it can be a huge pain in the ass to put them in and out. But I do think, personally, that silicone are the way to go for me. So I go with silicone, personally. Outside of that, I guess that's really all there is to talk about hearing aids. You know, the next video, I suppose, will be about the cost of hearing aids and how it sucks that they cost so much and why. From my uneducated perspective, because keep in mind, I really am only 25 years old, and I have never worked in an audiological field, And I really can only go by the feelings of the deaf community and the deaf people that I have spoken to. So, hello, Wheatley. She's come to join us to say goodbye. Hi, so we're gonna go bye-bye now. Say bye. Bye.